Good morning. This is Jason Moss with the Georgia Manufacturing Alliance and Manufacturing News Network. We're really excited to have you guys on the line with us. We got a great call lined up today. It is April the 6th, and we're already starting into Q2. We got some probably one of the most interesting Q2s most of us have ever seen in business, and getting ready to see how all this shakes out. Again, the Georgia Manufacturing Alliance, we're committed to help support and grow manufacturing in the state of Georgia. And typically we do that through plant tours and networking events and that sort of thing. We've changed the format completely from live face-to-face events to completely digital. It has been quite the journey to say it mildly. But the mission hadn't changed, the tools have. So we're using Zoom to make sure that we continue to stay connected to the folks in the community and provide information that can be beneficial to them. And the format that we have, we've got a variety of different calls that we do throughout the week. So I'd encourage you to take a look at the webpage under the upcoming events, and we've got all of the calls listed. There's no cost for any of the calls or the information that we provide. It's a community service to the manufacturers and the people that support them throughout the state. So feel free to use any of the calls. Most all of the calls that we have are archived, so you can go back and listen to them if you can't listen to them live. But we have a 10 o'clock call on Monday, which is the town hall that you're on now. Monday afternoon at 2 o'clock, we've got a task force call for companies that want to participate in the fight against the coronavirus. They've got resources and tools that they want to point towards this effort for all of us work together to combat this virus. And then we have 3 calls, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 10 o'clock. Those roundtable calls have a variety of different topics, depending on the market demand, depending on what people are asking for. And then on Friday, we have a fun social call at 4 o'clock. It's Fun Friday. So that's the mix of the calls that we've got lined up, and we have those. And again, the topics rotate on the roundtable calls Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But we're here to help support you in the manufacturing space, share best practices, to learn from each other. Each of us are we have different challenges that we're facing, different types of manufacturing. And so we want to bring the best and the brightest to the table here to share what's going on and share these experiences. So maybe we can, again, learn from each other. Today, our primary guest speaker is Sloan MacKarvich from Tie-Down Engineering and Manufacturing, and these guys have been a great partner and with GMA for quite some time now. And Sloan has got some interesting insights that he's going to share with us today about what's going on in their space. So what we're going to do is, hold on just a second. I'm going to pin. If I can do that, I'm going to spotlight Sloan, and this should be able to bring him up a little better. Yep, beautiful. Looks great. And Sloan and I are just going to talk a little bit about, I want him to kind of, again, tell us who your company is, who you are, what it is that you guys do in the manufacturing space, in the real world without the coronavirus, what that's looking like. So give us a little bit of insight about Tie-Down. Oh, hold on a second.
Got it. Sorry.
Okay. All right, cool.
Oh, great. Yeah, thank you, Jason. Thank you for having me on, and glad to join the call. Yes, the name of our company is Tie-Down, and we actually, it's our 50th year in business currently. We run 7 different divisions. We are in manufactured housing components. That's actually where the name Tie-Down comes from. Trailer and running gear components for over-the-road trailers below the semi-trailer level, so everything from boat trailers to utility trailers, a lot of metal and frame components basically that goes into that space. We're also in the ag industry. Let's see, we have a few more. We have a thermal management division that does primarily cooling of power electronics, safety components, and that's actually a real large growing business for us in the construction space. And finally, contract manufacturing. What more can we do for people with our existing asset base? And right now, we're primarily in the Atlanta area. We have 8 facilities at our disposal, about 600,000 square feet, and 300 production floor personnel. So naturally, this has affected a lot of us here at Tie-Down.
Right.
I have a little bit of a unique type of experience as relates to this COVID case. Actually, a year ago this time, I was actually in Wuhan on a sourcing exercise for components that we're now actually bringing to market currently for the solar industry for assisting in getting lifting modules up to a roof via a battery-powered hoist system. So spent about 10 days there about this time last year, and who would have thought that within a year the world would have basically done a complete 180 on itself.
Yeah.
We started tracking this pretty early, though, in terms of waiting for components to come in from overseas. As you all know, we're a global economy. And basically what we saw really early on is that this was going to potentially affect the supply chain. However, the timing was kind of ideal in that it was going into Chinese New Year. And so if everyone knows, you buy really heavy leading up to that because you're expecting the country to shut down effectively for 2, sometimes 3 weeks. So we really weren't that impacted for the most part in terms of waiting for that supply to come in. However, as soon as it basically got on the boat, so to speak, that's when basically the world, in essence, woke up to how awful this really was. On a further little personal note, basically, I think it's about the 16th of March, is that Monday we all recall pretty well, about 3 weeks ago, when we really realized this is going to hit us. And that week prior, I actually was fortunate to get in 2 elective surgeries, one on my back and actually on my stomach. And if I didn't have that done at that time, I'd be in a harder position currently right now. But other than that, mentally, I'm doing fine. And that's probably one of the biggest challenges, really just assuring your people that, hey, it's going to be okay. We can work with your concerns, your family, school schedules, like whatever we have to do in order to make you feel comfortable coming to work. Because fortunately or unfortunately, we're an essential business. We support a lot of industries that we can't just shut down. And so working with that is obviously been a challenge, and being able to motivate people that, well, hey, what does that really mean, essential business? Like, guys, we have to feed people. We have to keep product moving along the roads, to get the goods delivered. And, now's not the time to be really just sitting back. Well, I'll just sit back and wait this out. If you can come to work, then please do so. And we'll do everything in our power to mitigate those concerns. Hygiene, obviously, enforcing everything that people keep saying that you hear about day in and day out. But there's been a couple of things we've been able to do to make it more like, so to speak, like in your face, like you got to do it. We're fortunate to get a hold of just a handful. We only got 20% of our original request for the dispensing stations, and we put those right at the doors where we have key card entry. Sorry, Jason, go ahead.
No, it's fine. Yep.
All right, and forklifts, that's a very common thing moving around. A lot of times people share forklifts. Well, all of a sudden you're now sharing that same unit. You're touching over everything. So we keep cleaner, like no more drinks in the bottle area for holding a drink. It's now just cleaning agent that goes into that drink holder.
Yeah, so I was asking Sloan about this, kind of how this thing worked, and he sent me some pictures of all the fork trucks, or several of the fork trucks, with a little spray bottle and a cleaning wipes right there beside it, and all the drink holders.
You got to enforce it. And, keep focusing. I mean, you start. I mean, obviously this is new to us, but you kind of see pretty quickly what does work and what doesn't work. So the really best thing you can do is keep emphasizing things that are working, and if it's not, well, then maybe don't put some energy elsewhere. In terms of where we're at currently with our manning, this was by far our most difficult day. About 20% of the workforce did not report in. A lot of them are in very key areas with shipping and handling, and so we're having to very quickly move people around in order to accommodate and still keep things going. In terms of our total output, I'd say we're at about 65 to 70% of what we normally are, which actually for a lot of people, that's pretty good, considered. But it's, the orders, and for all of our customers that are non-essential businesses that had to get shut down, obviously everything went to zero. So what we really focus on, especially with the people in the office space, is, okay, if you want to work from home, that's fine, but what do we have to do to really make that work? And these tools like GoToMeeting and Zoom, and we're really heavy in Teams, it's pretty incredible to see how quickly we've now gotten to this point where, okay, we don't necessarily need to have a face-to-face. We can actually do this great collective meeting. I was able to get my dad actually get on a Teams call. He's the man that actually founded our company 50 years ago. When he finally popped on, he saw everybody there, where everybody's able to talk to everybody. He's quarantined himself down all the way in South Florida, not going anywhere. He was just tickled to death to be able to sit back and see it. But hey, work is still getting done. We're still able to see each other, talk and all that. And so it's a different world, but it's a world we can live.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Stand by 1 second.
Unmuted.
Okay, perfect. You got it. You good?
No, I'm not sure how much I lost there, but
Yeah, just well,
yeah,
I'm glad to hear about your dad. You know, being quarantined down there. I know he's kind of in that that target age that a little more concerned with help. You know, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
and being a little older, I'm thrilled to hear that he's in Florida doing what he needs to be doing. Hopefully, he's doing a little fishing or golfing or something, and enjoying some time. That,
Well, I'll share one little quick funny thing. At the end of the call, he goes, "Well, I have a couple people at the pool having a margarita, so I'm gonna go try to take a picture of that and post it on the teams." I'm like,
there you go.
do that.
Do what he needs to do.
Yep.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it.
But oh yeah, but we're getting by though. But really, I think in terms of what we would like to see, I mean, obviously we want to get back to some sort of normalcy as quickly as possible. I mean,
Right.
having a country shut down is just painful for so many people. But really, especially when it comes to us manufacturers, what the heck do we have to do to collectively really fight this thing? And
Right.
where we have to scale up on a World War II level or something along those lines. I mean, I think that the communication and how you're basically trying to bring people or manufacturers and capabilities to actually start, whether it's masks or ventilators or beds, you hear some of that on on the news. But frankly, when you start trying to either reach out to those people or trying to get something going, I think that we could be doing a whole lot better.
Right.
So I'm hoping that communication process and what we can do for really some basically, guys, what do we have to do? Come on, this is emergency, and we are willing and able to do whatever we have to basically fight this thing and get back to some normalcy again.
Right, right, and I'm glad you brought that up. You know, so like I mentioned, we do this roundtable. I mean, this town hall call, just to give everybody sort of an update and kind of hear from some of our leaders in the community, but also that 2:00 task force call. You were one of the first people that reached out to me. I mean, like, seemed like forever ago, and said, "Hey, I got this idea. If we need to, we're here, ready and available." We've toured Tie Down. I love the facility, and the people and the capabilities are unbelievable. If you need it made, these guys can make it, and so Sloan reached out to us and said, "Hey, this is what we want to do. How can we help?" And honestly, I had to kind of put that a little bit on the back burner, just being very candid with you, because we had to rebuild GMA from the ground up in the way that our business operates, right? So I had to learn. I mean, we had never even done a Zoom meeting up until 4 weeks ago. So I mean, and now we're doing 8 or 10 of them a week, right? And so so I had to park that just a little bit. You brought it to my attention early on, and I'm glad that you're still carrying the flag for that, and I'm excited. There's been a little bit of I was in the military, so that hurry up and wait mentality for a lot of stuff that just happens in the military and the government, and that's just kind of how that stuff works. We're going to take a lot more active role starting this week on coordinating the resources on that task force call. So again, Sloan, I really appreciate your willingness and commitment to help support the mission, with the things that you got. And we're about to put put the rubber to the road on trying to make the right connections and put some of this stuff in place. We had a little bit of a pause, but we're gonna you're gonna see a lot of good stuff come out of the call on 2:00 today. So well, I did kind of hopping off that, but I did want to kind of tip back over onto the order side and what you guys are seeing on your supply chain. I know that it on both ends, what are you seeing coming in, and then what are you seeing going out? Are you guys seeing continual orders for your primary products? And what do you project for the next 30 days? I know it's hard to look in that crystal ball because it's kind of fuzzy right now, but
no, I haven't even just because I'm afraid to look at it this morning. I haven't even opened up our open order report just because obviously it keeps going down like that. Excuse me one second.
Right. Yeah, we all are, the sales and operations planning, that is, wow.
Drinking tonic water.
That's good.
Well, so basically, like I said, for essential businesses, they've stayed steady. It depends on the sector. We are in refrigeration, or we supply a very large refrigeration manufacturer for semis.
Okay.
You'll probably know who it is. There's only 2 companies out there. And they've had to, I mean, obviously a very essential business, but they've now throttled their production line rate down by 40%. So now they're at 60% compared to what they were at just 2 weeks ago. Kubota Manufacturing, they're obviously a very large agriculture supplier. that a lot of people in North Georgia, especially, or Georgia in general, in the Southeast depend upon. They had a case, actually that was their second case, and so they decided to go ahead and shut down all of Kubota manufacturing. So even though you may have a business that is essential, if they shut down, obviously that work stops right then and there.
Yep.
So I would say that on the essential areas that we can deem essential, that we are off about 30%. I would say for non-essential businesses, as of this morning, we're probably down to about 30% of what it was before. So it's pretty massive. Next 30 days, and that's the unfortunate part is right now, this is our busiest time of the year, busiest season is for a lot of companies. I mean, going into the summer, coming out of that first quarter winter months, we projected before this starts to go back up in our financials and trying to mitigate as much of that effect, based on that cash flow effect, we're probably looking at a 40% across the drop. And hope it doesn't go much lower than that. But fortunately, we are a strong company. We're going to ultimately come out of this. But there's a lot of people that, frankly, need some help. And anything to make that happen, really. I mean, just where it's more of this communication or really just getting back to work quicker and, having those basically process in place where, you're enforcing hygiene. We have masks. I mean, there's a way that we can get back to work sooner or later, because if not, I think, unfortunately, it's going to get worse in a hurry. I've had 3 companies now on the smaller side that have already said, well, we're canceling our orders. Like, guys, we already have product ready to send out to you. It's like, well, you can send it, but we're not going to be able to accept it because we're shutting the business down.
Yeah.
I've had 3 companies that did that last week.
Yeah.
And we're not that far into this when you think about it. So the country really, in my view, cannot afford to have this go on for a very, very extended amount of time without a tremendous amount of pain that has already been inflicted.
Yeah. Well, and that's an interesting perspective, having to deal with the supply chain. We did a call last week and had Tom Valentine on the line with us, and he Valentine Solutions, and he did a great job really explaining what freight looks like, because like you said, you're a manufacturer, you build a product, you box it up, you put it on the truck, it's gone, you're happy. Well, what if that truck can't deliver or the order gets turned back around? It's how do you manage that bottleneck in the supply chain? How do you take the returns? What do you do with it? Where do you store it? And a lot of stuff's out of your control for sure. But on the flip side of that is we as business, I believe if we can take the mindset that, hang in there as long as we can, do the right stuff, honor the commitments that have been made. And I believe that, not a big karma guy, but the reality is, written in a good book long time ago, do unto others, right? Practice that golden rule. And if you got bills to pay your bills, right? And if you got orders that are ordered, if you got stuff on the way, if as best you can receive them. And we know that eventually this is going to pass, right?
Yep.
And that's what we're doing as an organization. We're encouraging all of our folks to do the same thing and manage that the best they can. There's a lot of stuff that's kind of out of your control, but on the flip side of that, I believe that what we need to be doing right now as leaders, we got to love our folks and take care of them on the way, through some of this tough time. But we also need to make sure that we're taking the time now to plan the exit strategy out of the coronavirus emergency. What are we doing now to be able to get prepared when this goes by? Once we get the all clear, all of us are waiting for that all clear. I know I'm ready. I'd love to hear it tomorrow. Don't think we're going to hear it tomorrow, but our I believe that the more we can rally our people around the planning for the future, I think that's going to make a big difference. It's a lot in your mindset. It's not always what happens to you, but how you respond to it that really matters. So.
Absolutely. And that communication is so key. Frankly, that's what we've all been doing a lot of, I feel, here during all this. Whether it's, obviously less activity going out on the factory floor, and there's just this natural sense of like, we're just talking more with each other, and especially with your suppliers and key partner customers. That's so important right now. And, what we've done with some of our suppliers is, okay, well, we're obviously going to experience a cash crunch on our end because everyone in the world is asking us for extended terms and all that. you know, can we naturally have to do the same thing with our suppliers, or at least ask, right?
Sure.
The bank's still going to want to be there, fortunately, to, keep business going. So really just as much communication as you can have with everyone, and, where your customers are at, again, where your suppliers are at, your own people. I mean, I think so many people just on the floor that are just naturally frightened, and they have their kids at home and all that during this. It's just, they want to have some sense of security or knowing in terms of what's going on. So being able to really, first and foremost, project that confidence that, hey, we're going to be okay. We're going to get out of this. And, just honestly, just hearing people open up and, empathizing with them, because we're really all in this together. They're looking for that. And that's across the board. So really, I think, us as leaders are really compelled at this point to, treat this as a really, really unique, unfortunate opportunity, but one that, people are counting on us. And really, this is the time for us to do what we know we're capable of doing.
Right. I think you're spot on there for sure. Well, Sloan, I really do appreciate your input and insight. We'd love to hang out with you as long as we can. I know you got a lot of fires to put out today.
Yeah, we got to go move some people over to the shipping department and make sure we can get product out today.
There you go. That sounds cool. Well, if you again, feel free to hang out. Is there any other words you'd like to share before we wrap that part of it up? We're going to transition and bring James and Joe online with us and have them share a little bit about what's going on at at Peachtree Tent and Events. But was there any other things you'd like to add before we make that transition?
I'd like to think that, I still believe that we have the greatest country in the world, and we've had, sorry.
Okay.
There?
Well,
Yep, we can still hear you.
My apologies.
Okay,
yep. No, I think we've had more trying times before naturally in our history, and we're going to be just fine ultimately coming out of this.
Right.
I like to think we'll be stronger than we were before ultimately, but that depends so much on what we do day in and day out until we are really back to normal, which we'll get back there eventually. But really just support your, obviously, the people you work with, your community, your family and friends, all that, and really just do what you are capable of doing for just offering that assurance that, hey, we're going to be okay, and let's just get through this together, because there's no other choice.
Right. And go wash your freaking hands, right?
Yep. Exactly. Keep your distance.
Right. Yeah, keep your distance. Love you from there, right? Yeah. All right. Well, perfect, Sloan. I really, again, appreciate you being on part of that and supporting us through this and giving your insight, because I think you really have some great tips to share. And I know that there will probably be a lot of soda bottles replaced with cleaning agent and fork trucks all around the state as a result of that. There you go. Thanks much, buddy. I sure do appreciate it. All right. Sweet. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to hop back over here. Stand by just a second. And what we'd like to do is I'd like to invite James Nesmith, and James Nesmith and Joe Freedman on the line with us. James, hold on just a second. Are you there?
Good morning,
okay,
everyone.
All right, perfect. Glad to have you on the line with us. All right. Well, James and I talked a little bit about what's going on in their world. This guy is a man after my own heart. He has been in the events business a day or two more than I have, and we're going to lean on him for some for some insight about what he's doing and what's shaking in the world of events and that sort of thing. So James is here in I'll make sure I got this right. You're here in Atlanta with Peachtree Tent and Events. And, we talked a little bit about what's going on in y'all's world. Share with us about what you're seeing in the events business as it relates to kind of some changes and retooling.
Well, thank you, Jason, and good morning, everyone. And as we navigate this trying times for all of us, hospitality and events have been hit, one of the really hard hit areas of this. Once this started, we knew testing tents would be coming up. We've already started those here in Atlanta. We're also in 8 other cities in the Southeast. But we've just realized in the last 10 days that some of the larger manufacturers or just larger employers in general have started screening operations. And of course, they want to do this on the outside of their building. There's two different platforms. Some have done a screening canopy coming into their employee entrances.
Okay.
As we speak right now, Delta Airlines, we are installing at 6 gates at Delta, at the employee entrance gates to their corporate campus, screening tent.
Okay.
And the screening tent have to be giant. The Delta tents are 10 by 20s.
Okay.
And this gives the screeners shade for rain or shine, coverage for rain or shine. And I believe, I haven't seen this running yet, but the employees will come by the screening tents for some questions and thermo testing their temperatures. The other application we've seen is some manufacturers, Fresh Express in Morrow, Georgia, had originally put up 1 additional break room tent in their parking lot. They've gone to 2. They are barely keeping up with demand on the grocery store side for their salad bag products. They wanted to make their employees feel better with distancing, and basically now they have 3 break rooms so they can split up. We've also provided Duracell manufacturing. They took a space they had and brought in our tables and chairs. And obviously you're not doing large grouped tables. These are small tables, 1 chair or distance otherwise. Another group, Fiserv, has 5 locations with a lot of employees. Of course, these are all essential businesses. So they are, I've seen incredible innovation, whether it's with how restaurants are doing takeout and how manufacturers and large employees are doing their best to keep their employees safe.
Okay. Well, on that note, you know, so for those of us that are those folks that are on the call that maybe not be real familiar with Peachtree Tent and Events, this is not y'all's first run at it. Y'all been around a little while. Tell us a little bit about some of your about your operation, where you guys are located, you know, what some of the big events and that sort of thing that you have done or maybe had scheduled and had to
hey James, I'm happy to add to it as well.
Okay, yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
All right, so
hey, Joe, I'm gonna.
Yeah, no worries. Hey guys, thank you, Jason, for having us. So we've been in the event business since 2006. Since our inception, we've always done disaster work, but prior to this COVID-19, we primarily did more joyous occasions, a lot of events, a lot of weddings. We do the steeplechases throughout the Southeast. We'll do a ton of business with Live Nation, all the major events that happen. We're, you know, Music Midtown. We're typically the guys that are executing a lot of the temporary structures, a lot of the flooring, a lot of the facilities for all of the patrons.
Okay.
So when this happened, we recognized that we really need to deploy all of our inventory specific to disaster relief. As James mentioned, we do have 8 operations in 7 states. We have 2 operations in Atlanta. We have operations in Nashville, Birmingham, Myrtle Beach, Savannah, Jacksonville, and pretty much anything that you would need to keep your employees safe during this period of time for essential workers. We have a bunch of different configurations that allows the workers and customers to come and practice social distancing. It's whether it's a workstation that's 6 feet apart, or whether it's a drive-through where individuals are driving up for some testing, maybe it's a wellness center, any type of configuration where you're looking for temporary shelter with compliance with social distancing, we have a solution for that. So as James mentioned, Duracell, Fresh Express, Emory Hospital, the urgent care facilities, Delta Airlines, we're doing a lot of work throughout the state of Tennessee with the Office of Emergency Management and FEMA as well. So while some individuals in the organization are more on the pure disaster work, James is heading up, in particular in the Atlanta region, on more essential workers, helping essential workers stay safe as your business can, whether it's, you know, a wellness facility or screening facility, whether it's a drive-through, whatever you need to keep your employees and your customers safe, we have a solution for it. Additionally, we also have personal hand cleaning stations, restrooms, lighting, seating, whatever you would need to, to continue to execute your business. Or, where you're an essential business, we'd have something for you.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Well, that's a great value add. That's one of the reasons that we wanted to have you guys on this call. And then also a couple of the other calls that we've got lined up, because companies might not have thought about, or they may have been trying to, maybe use the little, Walmart 10 by 10 pop-up tent, those can be painful if a little wind gets under them. But,
Jason, what's interesting is a lot of those did go up, and then they had some weather that came through, and that's when people started calling, because you're right,
right.
They're not, they're great if you're trying to shield yourself from the sun.
Right.
But if there is any type of wind or inclement weather, they go down pretty quickly.
Yeah.
One other thing, Jason, that we recently identified, if anyone needs masks, those N95 masks, we do have access. We found a partner that can get them. These are the KN95 masks. So the CDC is allowing these masks, and these are not competing with hospitals. So if anyone needed those, we do have access to a lot of those. So that'll be coming here in the next 10 days or so.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, that's great. Well, I really appreciate you being on the call today and sharing that insight and those resources, because, we want to make sure that we offer as many of the resources and make available as much as we can for our members. And what I'd like to do now, and one of the things that I talked with Joe and James about is, to see if we could offer something special for our GMA members, give a little opportunity to make sure that those guys get a little something special. And they said that they'd be able to put something together. So if you got any insights on that, that'd be great to share as well. So,
Jason, want to take that?
Thank you, Jason. Thank you very much. And everybody on the Zoom call, feel free, if you have any questions. I'm a helpful guy, and whether you need our resources or just some information, I'm here for you. We're all here in this together for the country, and feel free to email me or call me. Email is james@peachtreetents.com. That's tents is plural. James@peachtreetents.com. I'd love to help you with any question or anything we could help with.
Perfect. Well, what we're going to do is we're also going to include that information in the show notes. There is on the event page itself that you guys registered. If you did not register for this call through our webpage, there's a couple kind of back doors that you can get in to be able to get in the call without going through the registration. We'd really appreciate it if you do register for all of the calls online at GeorgiaManufacturingAlliance.com, because that allows us to send out information, send out reminders, and send out special information. So if you register for the event, and then we send out kind of the show notes on this, we want to make sure that it gets to you. And the only way we can't do that if you just hit it, if you just get on the call through Zoom. If you register, then that allows us to be able to reconnect with you and make sure that you get all the details. Now, what we're going to do is we'll include all of their information, contact information, the way to get a hold to them, all in the show notes as well. So, all right, cool. Well, what we'd like to do now is if you got a specific question for any of our guests, it looks like Sloan is still on us online with us. He has turned off his camera, but that's okay. We know we still got him. But if you would go ahead, either pop that in the chat feature, or you can just unmute your line as long as you don't have a lot of background noise, and ask any questions of our guest today. So anybody got any specific questions about what's anything that was covered on the call so far?
Love to be able to get a hold of some masks.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Actually, and I just stepped out too when I heard about the larger companies that are pre-screening everyone coming in. We finally got a hold of our first thermometer to where we can do the thermometer check. But stepped out to go communicate that, and actually come to find out that's actually part of, I think here the action that the governor signed is that we're supposed to be doing that now for people coming in onto the premises. The other thing that they also just got word of that you're no longer allowed to use the touch keypads or the clock-ins for people clock in to work. So we have to go into a more manual mode from there, because that's obviously what we like to call a common touch point that you want to avoid. Right. But yeah, that's obviously our behaviors are changing pretty quickly in a hurry.
Perfect. All right. Any other questions that we got on the things we've talked about so far? We got a couple other topics I'd like to hit real quick, and we'll open this back up for questions here in just a minute as well. But I did want to let you know about the calls that we got covered last week and what's coming down the pipe this week. On Tuesday, we're going to be doing a HR and safety training, and really excited about being able to do that. On Wednesday, I think we've got lined up for legal, and I think Thursday, and Heather, correct me if I'm wrong here, on Thursday I think we've got lined up finance, I believe. But again, these topics, we'll kind of rotate these things in and out, but we are going to do one specifically on Tuesday around safety. What are some of the safety issues that you guys are facing? We're going to be able to bring Joe and James back on and talk a little bit about what they're seeing, some of the other manufacturers around the state, how they're implementing, using some of the tools and some of the things we might could share best practices. Daniel Defense, that's one of the things they talked about. Now, if you've ever been down to their facility, you know that thing is locked down pretty tight. They manufacture firearms down there, so it's kind of snug security, to say the very least. But they set it up, and they said, what they did, they're just managing security through main entry points, and kind of doubling down on that. But they've opened up all the other doors. Any other door that's available in the facility, they're opening it up so that people don't have to touch handles, and I thought, it's kind of pretty simple, process, and just propping the doors open, making sure that people are able to limit the exposure. So what we're going to do is we're going to shift gears a little bit. We're going to talk about the business side just a little bit. If you have been watching anything on the news and you're involved in the decision makings in your business at all, you're probably familiar with the CARES Act and also the Payroll Protection Program. There's 3 different programs that are out there. You need to figure out kind of which one's best for your company. We have kind of gone through and as sampling, trying to find out what the process is to get your paperwork in for some of these programs, just to see how they work. I bank with Synovus. We actually have a couple different banks that we work with, but our primary bank is with Synovus, and they were one of the first companies to step on board early on to make sure that they were actively involved in helping companies get access to the federal funds that are available. And the payroll protection plan was one that we walked through that process, and it is a little tricky, to say the very least. A lot of the guidance says that the funds that are made available are 2.5 times whatever your average payroll is. Well, calculating average payroll, there's 2 or 3 different ways that they can do that. There's some pretty good guidance on the Small Business Administration webpage to give you some insight on that. We're going to be linking back to some new guidance that just came out on Sunday. Literally, we filled out a lot of our information on Tuesday for the first part of the $10,000 emergency grant, and then we backfilled on Friday. The president said that the funds will be available. You'll be able to apply. It was Friday at 6:50. I was still here at the office, but at 6:50, I got the email from the state that said, or actually from Synovus, that said they're available now. So we, filled out. Fortunately, we had gathered all the information that we needed, filled out everything that was there. Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, they said, we need 2 more pieces of information. Filled out 2 more pieces of information, and half of the stuff I'd already filled out one time. And then we got yet another email about 10 o'clock. And then we got one at about 8 o'clock Sunday morning. So, I've been filling out paperwork all weekend. Just if you hadn't done it yet, just so you know, there's it's not a lot, but there's a little bit of confusion. And I have yet to find anybody to give me clarity on that. But the way that the calculation is 2.5 times payroll. The average monthly payroll times 2.5% is what you can apply for, but you can use those funds to cover utilities and rent as well. Utilities, rent, and interest, mortgage, on the business side of it. But all of the paperwork says you need to estimate what 2 months of your expenses are, not 2.5. So there's some disconnect between what they're asking for, but it's primarily based on the main form that you fill out is based on payroll, and they're saying 2.5 times payroll, but you can also calculate in again, rent and utilities. So it's a little bit confusing. So just, again, be patient with them. That's what I'm working real hard on is learning to be patient and understand that this is coming down as fast as anything's ever come through Congress and gotten to the people. There are going to be little hiccups. We understand that, but we just we need to kind of roll with that. So, but with that being said, I want to open up the call with anybody else. It looks like we're getting a couple of comments in the group chat on that. But has anybody got any other experience that they've had with it or any questions? We do have some calls. We did a really fantastic call on Thursday last week on the finance side. So I'd encourage you to take a look at that. You can kind of review that. And 95% of that is still spot on. There's been a couple of changes, but and Randy Brunson also did a call. One of our GMA members and sponsors, he did a call on Friday, which we have linked there as well on our Thursday call. So I want to open it up. Anybody got any questions or experience with the PPP or the EILD? Going once. Has anybody else attempted any of those things, is working on either of those projects?
Jason, this is Mike McShane. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you great, Mike. Thanks.
Well, if this is helpful, I'm actually I'm a broker in the industrial real estate business.
Uh-huh.
And one thing we're following, it's called independent contractors.
Okay.
They can be part of this. Now, the opening date of that will be April the 10th. So okay. If anybody in the manufacturing world is or has or dealing with independent contractors, it's going to be something that is available. How and what, we don't know. Obviously, I have my own groups that are in the commercial real estate brokerage business. Mm-hmm. And what's unique about the commercial real estate brokerage business, it's driven more by the residential business. Because, well, there's 100 times more residential agents there are commercial. So
right.
It's an industry that, real estate is usually the second most expensive thing in any operating company. Mm-hmm. People are first, facilities are next. So we pay attention to what it costs to run a facility, the cost of occupancy. It's not just buying and selling buildings. It's what does it cost to run a facility effectively? We get energy costs. And now what's going to happen is there's a whole concept called WELL, W-E-L-L, that is like LEED, but it has to do with testing air quality.
Okay.
So as we get into the next phase of how you better operate, it's going to come back to a facility situation. So that's what I'm paying attention to. And whatever I share, obviously, whatever I find out, I'll share with the group.
Okay, perfect. I definitely appreciate that. And we're going to keep these calls, again, pretty open and interactive. If you guys have got things you'd like to share, please include those in the group chat. I'm going to open this up for Heather and see, was there anything on the call that you're seeing on the notes?
There's a notice about someone looking for a bottle supplier.
For what type supplier? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Bottle. Someone looking for a manufacturer of plastic bottles.
Oh, okay.
That was me, Jason.
Okay.
Smith.
I have a contact who does quality control for such a manufacturer here in Georgia. Perfect. I don't know their availability to switch over to product or not.
Okay.
But I can dig out his name and and supply that information.
Cool. And you guys are connected through the Georgia Manufacturing Alliance page. Yeah, all you got to do is, Roger, if you just go in and type in Keaton, or Keaton, just type in Roger, and both of you guys will see it in the member page, and y'all be able to connect. I'd definitely encourage that for sure. All right.
Yes, CKS Packaging right down the road from us probably do that as well. They do everything for Coca-Cola.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Thank
And we
you.
do. Go ahead.
I was just going to say on that note is a lot of this stuff as it's been coming out. We just got access to this yesterday, or actually on over the weekend. Jason, is hand sanitizers, but it's an ethanol based hand sanitizer. It's an 80% alcohol hand sanitizer, and it's available in 5-gallon and 55-gallon drums.
Okay.
And so what I've been told by our raw chemical manufacturer is that it's a lot more viscous. It's not gel. So what these manufacturing companies are doing is they're using it as a central location point to where people can come and fill up their empty hand sanitizers, or they can use it there as their cleansing stations for that. Also, I was just going to let you know too that as people are starting to make these masks and fabric masks and all these other things, be prepared that if you do go out and purchase this stuff, a lot of people are asking for everything up front as far as funds go.
Okay.
So that's now the new normal, is having to prepay these items by ACH or wire transfer. So.
Okay. That's great news. That's great to know for sure, Keaton. I definitely appreciate that.
Jason, last fall, we toured a facility that had a plastic bottle manufacturing. Who was that?
Is it
You and I
thermal?
discussed the machine.
Heather,
Was it Thermopack? That's the first one that comes to mind.
does Thermopack have plastic injection molding?
No, it wasn't injection molding, it was stretch
Blow
blow
mold.
molding.
I'll have to dig back through. I mean, we did about 120 events last year, so it's hard for me to recall all of them. It's sad to say, but I will definitely. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, well, I'll have to dig into that. But yeah, we've run across a few bottling organizations, and so we'll dig into that for sure. And I'll include that in the show notes. If you guys are interested in the sourcing or participating in the task force, I mean, we need project managers. We need people that have got some availability on time. That's that can help connect the dots as much as they can. I mean, we're I don't know that I've worked this hard in many years. I'm thrilled that I have the opportunity to do it, but as many hands as you can makes the workload a little lighter. So if you guys are interested in volunteering, if you got access, you have resources, you have capabilities that you'd like to participate, that 2:00 call is the call to be on, kind of in that topic. All right. So with that, guys, I think we're in great shape. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call out a handful of folks real quick, and in typical GMA fashion, what we like to do. Simple last question is, what was your favorite part about this call today? So I want to get a little bit of feedback. So if you got your camera, can turn it on, that'd be great. Because again, we just want to hear some insights from different parts. Because I know most of the faces on the screen here, and I'll make sure that I kind of call you out. But we would like to get your input. Keaton, what was your favorite part about the call today, brother?
I like the fact that Sloan mentioned, well, I don't like that because he said those people were canceling orders, but he talked about the logistics. So we've heard about a lot of our vendors have been sending out material to people, and if they're not open, it is on that customer who ordered that for those holding charges that these logistic people will charge you for holding material. So if you are ordering material or shipping material, you need to make sure that your customers are going to be there.
Yeah. That's a great point, Keaton.
For receiving. Yeah.
And Tom Valentine added some, on the logistics side, talked a little bit about that, but also we've got a legal call, and we're talking about force majeure and how companies are applying that in their business, and there's going to be a bazillion lawsuits possibly floating around. all of the folks at our friends at Taylor English have recommended, don't use the courts as your first, first step. Try to work this out between you and figure out an open communication, guys. Tell folks where you at, what's going on, so we can avoid as much of this as we can. So that's a great point, Keaton, and let's figure out how we can continue to support each other, because if we've got long-term relationships in the supply chain and great suppliers that we've dealt with for years, now's not the time to toss them a hand grenade. Now's the time that we need to make sure that we engage with them and keep the communication going, so we can all pull through this together, because all of us are selling something and all of us are buying something. So we got to make sure that we keep that piece going. All right, perfect. And let me see. Heather, you read through some of the notes. Anything unique popping out on the notes for you today, or what's your favorite part about the call?
My favorite part about the call actually is the information on the tents, how those are going up for break rooms, checkpoints. Those are really good things to do to keep everybody separated even more so. So that's really good to know, because it is kind of scary out there right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if we can eliminate some bottlenecks and where people are gathered together, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. All right, Mr. Tony Langford, what you got shaking, brother? What's your favorite part about the call? Oh, he's just looking. He's just being pretty on the call. All right, Michelle, what's going on, girl?
Just love to be able to meet and get information that helps, because I'm in other networking groups as well, that in areas where GMA is not there yet. We're still working on it, but just passing out some of that information and to let them know that you guys are always full of great information. So still keeping those things on the back burner for them when everything opens up again, so that we can bring GMA out to their area. So
Perfect. Well, that sounds great. And I'm gonna throw Koki under the bus here. About a month ago, it feels like a bazillion years ago, we were in just about to kick a call off, and I asked her to take notes really good, and so we could do a recap. She has done a fabulous job of recapping these calls and getting the highlights. And again, appreciate your volunteer and your efforts on that. And of all the things that we talked about, what was your favorite part about it today, Koki? We got stand by.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, I'm learning a lot, and I love the communication of all your members and how you, the service you provide to your members as far as what's out there, what's available, who's doing what. And I have to second Heather as the information on the tents. I've seen it in the parking lot at the dental office where people were getting screened, but it's nice to see all the possibilities that one vendor is really bringing to light on what they're doing. I loved Sloan's information about the logistics and shipping, orders being held up because companies are, these are all great tips that you bring to the members that are very valuable. So I'm learning a lot. I hope other people are too. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And again, we really appreciate your help and getting all this stuff recapped. I have a hard time thinking through all this, and she's writing it down and making great notes as we go. All right, so I'll open it up to Joe. What was your, this is your first call with GMA on this line. And again, appreciate you guys stepping up and being a part of the call today and sharing some insights. What was your favorite part about the call?
Really, I tell you, initially when I was looking at the chat and Taylor, the gentleman mentioned about the hand sanitizer, we're always looking for partners for stuff like that. So we've connected by email, and I'll definitely connect with him afterwards. So just knowing that you guys are really banding together is huge, because especially those that are in essential businesses, we need those businesses to continue to keep operating.
Yeah,
we kind of get through this process.
Yeah, keep operating and stay safe and healthy. That's a big deal. So. All right. Is Brittany? It's like Buddy Bingo. We can't hear you, Brittany. Can you hear us okay? I can't hear you at all. Nope. I can't hear you. Nope. All right. She went. Okay. Can you hear me? No. We'll try again. We'll try again. Another call. Yeah. All right. So. All right. Good deal, guys. Well, I did want to appreciate everybody for being on the call. Stand by just a second. I did want to appreciate everybody for being on the call today. We got a lot of cool stuff going on. We are committed to your success and pulling through this. We got to pull through it together. All of us working together, we'll be able to conquer this challenge that's ahead of us. It'll give it, these calls are designed to, again, share best practices, but also build new relationships in different ways that we've never done it before. We're here for you. If you need somebody to chat with, one of the cool things about GMA is we got a great community and we got people pulling together with each other. But there's some folks out there that's probably in your world that that may not have access to a community like this. I would encourage you, my challenge for you today is to reach out to 2 or 3 folks that you hadn't talked to in a while that you feel that would benefit from hearing a kind word from somebody, and reach out, love on them just a little bit. Just a quick text, phone call would be better, but don't let people take you down a rabbit hole. I mean, we all got challenges and it's all tough for everybody. But if we keep it positive and keep it looking forward, how we're going to get through this together, right? Keep that mindset. Don't let the negative Nellies take you away. It's going to be tough. I'll just tell you straight up. We know it's going to be tough, but we don't need to dwell on it. We need to figure out, spend all of our energies and efforts on working out a solution for it to be the best it can. So with that, it has been yet another great day at GMA. We really appreciate and honor each one of you guys. If you need to chat with somebody, feel free to give us a buzz, shoot us an email. We're here for you. And it has been, again, a great opportunity. Brittany's reminded me to take a picture and I got to find the phone. Stand by. Survey says, all right. Everybody smile. So we did this little thing. Everybody smiles and everybody waves. Everybody smiles and everybody waves. Smile and wave and smile and wave. I know it sounds crazy. It sounds a little tacky, but hey, it looks cool on social. Everybody waving. Yeah. Cool. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to share that image. And what we want you to do is once we post that on LinkedIn and on Facebook, we would like you to share your favorite part of the call and what you learned from it. So other people will know that we're doing this. This is a grassroots effort. The more people that know about it, the more people that will benefit from it. If you know somebody that would have learned something on this call, make sure that they're on the next call with us. Okay. So that's the second challenge for the day. All right. With that, we're going to wrap this call up. Been another great day and we'll talk to you guys at the next call. See ya.